Hello and welcome back to The Hill. I'm your host, Worthington Moore, and joining me on today is Miss Deonca Bookman. She is a world-class Olympic hurdler, and I'm so excited to have you on the show for today. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
That is great. I've been wanting to have you on this show for a very long time, and the first question that I wanted to ask you is, when did you start running track and field?
Well, I started really running my sophomore year of high school. Yeah, sophomore year of high school is when I really started taking it serious.
That's honestly interesting because you see a lot of world-class Olympic tier athletes. They'll say that it all started from, summer track. That's a common thing when dealing with track and field athletes. So there wasn't, track and field. I know that's I don't know, like for distant people, they don't really have to go through that, but no track and field during the summer, no summer track.
Oh yeah, I had summer track. Yeah, it was tough, hot, extremely hot.
Yeah, honestly, all the monikers of doing summer track. So I kind of wanted to touch upon your time being at Prairie View. Just a few years ago, you were a student athlete, and now you're a pro. Kind of tell me about that sort of balance that you now have being a professional athlete.
But the balance, like between.
Oh yeah. So like the balance that you have, like as a student athlete in college, where you have to go to your classes, you have to do your studies, but also outside of your classroom, you also you have to study, not study, but you have to do your sport, and you have to compete, and you have to train, and you have to practice and doing all that. So now as a pro, like, what does that balance look like?
Oh, I mean, it's not the same, but it's kind of the same because I still have to work. I'm not a fully sponsored athlete, so I don't get paid to run. So technically, it's still kind of like school because I go to practice in the morning, and then after practice, I go straight to work, and then home, sleep, repeat. So it's kind of the same balance, but it's not stressful because class was stressful. The class and then having to run in that weekend. Oh man.
I don't know. I mean, some people would say it's stressful. Some people would not, but to each their own. So I think you touched in that answer a little bit about, you said that you're not as fully sponsored athlete. So can you tell me about the sort of endorsement sides of being a professional athlete?
So to my knowledge, you have to run like certain times to get sponsored by like shoe companies or anything like that. And so right now, that's what I've been working on for the past 2 years, because I can't count last year. It was a COVID year. That's what I've been trying to get done the past 2 years, and hopefully it happens at the end of this year.
All right. Hey, anything's possible, definitely. So I kind of wanted to talk about, I think it might have been, now it's been like a month or however long that it's been, that the NCAA basically has allowed college athletes to profit off of their name, image, likeness. I'm guessing that's something that you definitely would have liked to see when you're in college, but unfortunately just a few years removed from that.
Yes, it's sad, but I'm happy that the NCAA athletes finally get to get paid for their name, and the hard work that they put in and stuff like that. So, there's a guy from LSU, he's a pole vaulter. He went over to Diamond League meets, and he didn't even get to get paid for it because he was still a part of the NCAA. So now that wouldn't be an issue for any NCAA athlete that would want to compete on that level.
Yeah, and I think it's a great thing. I think it does have some advantages, disadvantages, but I'd say that for right now, it's still relatively young. We're definitely going to see where all of this takes place a few years down the line, but right now it's a wild, wild west. And I think that whenever a lot of people say, "Oh, these athletes are going to become, millionaires overnight," and things like that, I would say, well, some of them kind of do deserve it. I mean, you look at Zion Williamson in his time at Duke. You would definitely say that he was producing far more for the University of Duke, and he was producing far more for the NCAA. Not to mention, the basketball tournament that they have every year. Well, not in 2020, but that they do have. So it's like he was putting far more out in terms of revenue. So whenever you have like athletes that like that, I kind of think they do deserve that. Now, another misconception is that not every athlete is going to have that capability. Not everyone's going to be a millionaire, but for those who actually deserve it, I think it's a great and wonderful thing. So now I'm just going to switch over to the your side of things, and which was competing in the Olympic trials. Tell me about the atmosphere of competing at Eugene, Oregon.
Oh wow, it was amazing. The stadium wasn't full, but it sounded full. Like the excitement, the adrenaline, everything. It was good. I enjoyed my time there for sure.
Yeah, like how and exactly. I've seen some pictures online, but like how big was that stadium? I think they said it's like a $250 million stadium. Like that might just be, I think, one of the most expensive track and field stadiums like in the world right now.
Yeah, it's huge. When I say huge, it's huge. I think it has like 4 different levels. There's a level for sprinting and hurdling, and then there's a level for discus and shot put. There's a level for pole vault. There's a level for almost every event in track and field. It's nuts. When I was walking down, I was like, oh, you got to get back in the game. You got to get back in the game, because I was starstruck. I'm not gonna even lie.
Yeah, definitely. You got to keep your head in the game and make sure that you're focused, because it's like, oh my goodness, this is like, on the one hand, it's like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This looks spectacular, but it's like, oh, I came here for a reason. I'm not, just a regular, fan that's like, oh, I can take pictures.
Yeah.
But you're actually there for a purpose. And speaking about, the reason why you went to the Olympic trials in the first place, talk to me about your semifinals race.
Oh, my semifinals race, it was good. I PR'd that race. And the crazy part is I didn't even run the pattern that me and my coach discussed prior to it. But even with that, it showed me that I was capable of running even faster than that. So it was lit, like the kids say.
I don't know what the kids are saying. I mean, we're practically okay. I'm not going to ask your age, but you can't be more than if you. We're in the same age group, kind of sort of situation. So I would still count you as being one of those quote unquote kids. But one of the other stories that I saw coming out of Eugene, Oregon, that wasn't talking about the sports, was about the weather, and that it was getting to record heights of like 100, 110 degrees and things like that. You expect that out of Texas, but not Oregon. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think that took place on your final race. So, you're feeling the heat and you're like, oh man, this is so hot. Are we really going to run in this? So tell me about your mindset through all of that.
When we got out to the track, I looked at my coach. I was like, Coach, it's hot. He was like, yeah, I know, but think of summer track. I was like, I ain't ran summer track in a long time. It's hot. He was like, don't think about that. He was like, just make sure you stay hydrated. We're going to take a little longer to warm up. And I was like, all right, cool. And then like 30 minutes before I was about to head over to the track, because you had to be there certain minutes before the race started. So when I was about to head over, we got a text message like, hey, no, don't come over to the track. They just postponed the meet. Someone passed out. So they're going to start back up at, 9? I think we started back up at 9. And so I got a chance to go back to the Airbnb. And speaking of that, the Airbnb people that that me and my training partner were staying at, they actually ended up buying us a cooler, an air conditioning system, and put it in the Airbnb for us, because, it's not normally that hot there. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And so I got to go back there and cool off and hydrate myself and get my mind back on the prize. And so the second time I was actually even more ready to go than I was the first time. So kind of worked out.
Yeah, but fortunately it all worked out. So, the reason, the whole purpose that you're there is to qualify for the Olympics. So after you did qualify for the final round, and you look to see, who you're competing against. It's kind of, in an athlete's, especially whenever you're competing in an individual event, to see the competition, who you're going up against. And for you and your event, you have Sidney McLaughlin, you have Dalilah Muhammad, you have Shamir Little, and all of them, at least at the time that finals was run, they're all ranked in the top 10 of individual performers in your event. So can you tell me a little bit of kind of like what was the thought process going through your head going into that? Like, was it, oh man, I gotta beat like one of these people. Like I gotta, you ran the PR, in the race before that in the semifinals, but you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to run super PR or something like that.
Yeah, I knew going into the trials that they were going to run a world record again, because it never fails. Every final that I'm in with them, they always want to run a world record. But shout out to y'all. No. But yeah, I knew that going in that what I had to do, and I was doing it. And then I got a little excited at hurdle 4 and ran through my pattern, and it just threw everything off. But I don't know. I just knew if I got in, if I was in the mix at 300 meters, that I could have possibly made that team. That would have been a very, very possible chance for that. But yeah, I did. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you still have you would see. I think that whenever comes to athlete, every opportunity that comes your way, you got to take it. Hopefully, you're still relatively young, and as an athlete, you can still hopefully have that opportunity to try again whenever the Olympics do happen. I guess in the next 3 years.
Next 3 years. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, it's kind of shortened. So like everyone, I kind of think about people like Allison Felix, but at this point she's 35 or 36 years old, and if you advance 3 years, I mean it's another year that's kind of like shaved off, but still for the people that maybe there's like one last slimmer of hope. You kind of just sort of think if it's something that you can take, you got to take. I know someone personally. He was my former high school coach. He does the triple jump, and right now he's 32. And you generally think of like that age of being like, oh, hey, that's the prime of your life. But in the terms of a track and field athlete, not so much. You only have like a set amount of time, and then like once you hit it, like once your body and like whenever it comes to injuries and certain things, there's really not that opportunity. So every opportunity, every chance that you get is big. So was there sorry for rambling on, but was there a watch party of people like at your house or anything like that that were watching you compete at the Olympic trials?
Well, my mom and my aunt, they actually came up to the trials, but since the meet got postponed on my final day, they weren't able to actually see it. So she had to watch it on YouTube at the airport.
Wow. That is interesting. So like wow.
But I'm pretty sure my family everywhere else, they were watching it. I know they were.
Yeah. So speaking of people that were watching, a lot of Prairie View people were rooting you on, being like, "Oh my goodness, that's my HBCU fellow alum there at went to Prairie View." So tell me about some of the response that you did get from your fellow PV alumni and students and all that.
Oh man, the PV fam, they're always rooting for me. They're always giving me the best compliments. They're always like, yeah, HBCUs, we can do it too. And you're out there showing it that it's possible. And we just love you. And I really loved it. I cried. I'm not going to lie. I cried at all the responses that I got.
Yeah. And speaking of HBCUs, did you get the opportunity, because this past NCAA track and field season, I believe, I don't know if it's for NCAT, I don't know if it's on the men's side, I don't know if it's on the women's side, I don't know if it's like overall, but I know that one of those options, they placed third at NCAA, and you might think, okay, well, if you heard that sort of stat, you'd be like, okay, well that obviously happened like back in the days, but no, it happened recently. And I think that it just goes to show that that level of talent, that level of capability, that comes from an HBCU, and it kind of just opens the door for other athletes that are very good in the field to be like, those are an options. And I definitely think that's one of the things that was one of the best things that I saw personally from the NCAA championships this year. But were you able to see anyone personally, like see any HBCU athletes? I know that there is that one guy who did qualify in the 400 meters. His last name is Ross. But were you
Yeah, I
able
know
to
what
see?
you're talking about. No,
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance to see anybody really. I was in the Airbnb, and then I was in practice. Those are the only two places that I went. So I wish I did, so I could be like, yeah, HBCU.
Yeah,
But no, I
definitely.
didn't see.
Maybe in the coming years, because I guess a lot of it has to do with COVID protocols. Maybe 2024 Olympic trials. Maybe there will be a HBC watch party or something like that.
I
After
hope so.
that honestly sounds very, very fun. So next question. I don't know if I don't know if you can be able to answer it or not, but there is that story that came out a month ago. That came out with Sha'Carri. No, I'm trying. Okay, is it Sha'Carri or is it Sha'Carri? No, it's Sha'Carri. It's Sha'Carri, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I always mix it up. I just want to make sure I get it right. But that story came out with Sha'Carri Richardson about her being not allowed onto the Olympic team. So I wanted to, if you're able to give your, what's your take on that situation, if you can? I mean, we could go into the next question. It's okay.
Yeah, let's go to the next question.
Okay. So this is gonna be the last question. And I just wanted this to be something. This is something that we do every single episode. But coming to Prairie View, I just wanted to get the story of how that all transcended.
Oh, well, it started when I was a little younger, because my dad's side, basically the whole side, went to Prairie View. So it was kind of like something that I seen. I saw the I saw the plaques and the diplomas and stuff that said Prairie View. And I was like, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's the best HBCU in the land. I'm like, what? So they would tell me their stories and everything that they went through, and just about how it's like a huge family and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I want to go there. I want to go there. Little did I know that I could actually go there. So summer track, I would talk to my coach. I was like, yeah. He's like, do you know where you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I want to go to PV. He was like, you want to go to PV? I was like, yeah, I want to go to PV. And he was like, that's funny because I have contacts with the coach. And I was like, really? Can you reach out? And he was like, of course. He reached out. Coach Williams was like, yes, I'm interested. She would be a great addition to the SWAC and to my program and stuff like that. And I was like, yay. And so I signed, and I went and I saw the campus, and people ask me all the time, they're like, did you ever go on another campus to visit? And I'm like, no, I already knew where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to PV. I didn't care what it looked like. I mean, that's where I wanted to go. I've been wanting to go there since I was like younger, not like super young, but young enough to know what it was. And yeah, I went. I loved it. Freshman year was amazing. What is it called? Mine just went blank. The visit down to PV when I was in high school, it was like a family, literally. Like I went and saw the track when it was like this thin. And they were all at practice, and they were all laughing with each other, joking. You could just tell that it was like genuine. And I was like, this is where I want to go. I told my mom when we got in the car, and she was like, are you sure? I was like, yes, this is where I want to go. And so freshman year was good. Went to conference, and I got second in the 200 and fourth in the 60-meter hurdles. And I was like, wow, I did this as a freshman. So there's no telling what I'm going to do going forward. And then just after that, it was nice. I love the little functions that we had during homecoming. It's just nice to see old PV come back, and then they tell you all their little stories about what happened when they was here at PV, and It was just good. I just love PV. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Being able to get you here today. Um, just such an amazing experience that you've had with going to Prairie View, and then being able to accomplish such great things on when it comes to track and field. And so thank you for coming on, and thank you to the viewers for watching this. This has been The Hill. I'm your host, Worthington Moore, and I was able to interview Deonca Bookman on today, and that is the rest of the episode. So see you all later. Bye.
All right, bye.